first pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana.
12 days later, a deleted Instagram comment from when this kid was 16 has every corporate suite in Las Vegas demanding answers. So how did the #1 overall pick go from franchise savior to franchise liability in less than 2 weeks? Let's break it down. The 12-day collapse. 12 days. That's all it took. 12 days between the moment Roger Goodell walked up to that podium in Pittsburgh and the moment a screenshot from the summer of 2020 came roaring back to life and put Fernando Mendoza on the corporate chopping block. And see, I've been doing this long enough to tell you something straight up. When a franchise spends an entire offseason scouting and an entire war room agonizing over the #1 overall pick, the only thing that can unwind that kind of investment in a hurry is a scandal that hits the brand. And that's exactly what landed in the Raiders' lap. Let me paint you a picture. April 23rd, 2026, Acrisure Stadium. The cameras are rolling, the lights are hot, and the Raiders, coming off a 3-14 season, are about to take the most important pick in the franchise's modern history. We talking about a team that hasn't had a real answer at quarterback since Derek Carr packed his bags. We talking about a team that watched Jimmy Garoppolo come and go, watched Aiden O'Connell try and fail, watched Geno Smith collect a check before getting shown the door. The Raiders' QB room was a graveyard, and Mendoza was supposed to be the resurrection.
And the celebration is on in the Mendoza household and party.
That celebration was real. The kid had earned it the hard way. Cuban-American family, mama with multiple sclerosis sitting in a wheelchair, watching her boy become the first Indiana player drafted #1 in the common draft era. About 80 people in that backyard, lechon asado on the grill, grandparents who came over from Cuba in 1960 crying their eyes out. Nobody knew that a screenshot already circulating on X was about to become the heaviest weight on Mark Davis's desk. Now I want you to understand the financial gravity of this thing. Mendoza signed a 4-year rookie deal worth roughly $54,560,000 with a 5th-year team option. Releasing a player on that kind of contract 12 days after signing him is the kind of move that ends careers in the front office. John Spytek, the GM, would basically be signing his own pink slip. Clint Kubiak, the new head coach who personally grilled Mendoza in an 18-minute combine interview where the kid drew up a complex play on a whiteboard from memory, would be looking at the shortest honeymoon period in coaching history. So why would they even consider it? Why would a franchise that just spent the entire offseason building around this one guy, bringing in Kirk Cousins as a veteran bridge, surrounding him with weapons like Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty, why would they entertain blowing it all up? The answer points to one deleted Instagram comment from the summer of 2020 that nobody in the Raiders front office wanted to remember. Because here's the thing about Las Vegas. That ain't just a football town. That's a sponsorship town. That's a city built on suites, on partnerships with Allegiant Air, Ford, Coors Light, MGM, Caesars, on U.S. Bank financial literacy programs where Mendoza himself was being positioned as some kind of chief financial playmaker. When you got that many corporate fingerprints on your franchise, the players ain't just players, they walking billboards. And when one of them billboards has an old social media skeleton come tumbling out the closet, the suits make calls.
I think it's the realization that you have the Raider logo on your chest and you're playing NFL football, which is great.
12 days ago, that was the message. Privilege, responsibility, Raider on the chest. Now we hearing rumblings that maybe somebody decided that logo was too sacred to be worn by a kid whose teenage Instagram comment about George Floyd and Derek Chauvin had racked up over 10 million impressions on a single Pop Crave post. The transition from celebration to crisis was that fast. From the family backyard in Coral Gables to the chopping block in Henderson. From the Mendoza Family Fund and a $500,000 commitment to multiple sclerosis research to a corporate firestorm nobody saw coming. So before we get into who pulled the trigger and why, let's rewind the tape and look at the Instagram comment that allegedly turned the entire Allegiant Stadium boardroom upside down. The comment that lit the fuse. Summer of 2020. America was on fire. The Derek Chauvin tape had broken the internet. The George Floyd protests were spilling into every city from Minneapolis to Miami. And LeBron James, never one to sit quietly while history unfolds, dropped an Instagram post that became one of the defining images of the moment, a split image. Derek Chauvin, on one side, had his knee pressed into Floyd's neck. Colin Kaepernick, on the other side, kneeling during the national anthem. The caption read 3 simple words: "This is why." That post ricocheted through every corner of the internet. internet. And buried somewhere in those comments was a reply from a 16 or 17-year-old kid in Miami, a junior at Christopher Columbus High School, a high school quarterback who had thrown for 1,396 yards the previous season and was just starting to dream about playing college football somewhere big. His name was Fernando Mendoza, and his comment, according to the Yahoo Sports Breakdown, questioned the context of the first photo, questioned whether anybody could really know what happened beforehand. The comment got deleted soon after. The kid moved on with his life, became a Heisman winner, won a national championship, and rose to the very top of every NFL draft board in America. For nearly 6 years, that comment sat in the digital graveyard, and then, in early April 2026, just weeks before the draft, with Mendoza projected to go #1 overall, somebody dug it up. The dig was performed by Pop Crave, the viral celebrity news machine on X, with the kind of reach that can take a single screenshot and turn it into a national conversation overnight. On April 8th, Pop Crave dropped the screenshot on their main account. Within hours, that single post had racked up over 10 million impressions. The comment section turned into an absolute war zone. On one side, folks calling the comment tone deaf, dismissive of police brutality, racially insensitive given the gravity of what George Floyd represented. On the other side, folks defending it as a teenage call for full facts, arguing that resurfacing a deleted high school comment from a 16-year-old kid was textbook cancel culture. Football Crave amplified the moment with their own video context post that pulled in another 1.9 million views. Raider fans started weighing in with meme-style reactions. The Reddit threads exploded. Over in r/CFB, a single thread racked up 5,800 upvotes and 231 comments. The r/NFL thread racked up over 214 comments analyzing the exact wording, the exact phrasing, the exact emoji the kid had used to punctuate his thought. The Touchdown Wire headline didn't pull any punches. Fernando Mendoza in hot water over resurfaced George Floyd comments, the kind of phrase that triggers immediate alarm bells in corporate America. Because hot water doesn't stay hot in a vacuum, hot water spreads. Hot water lands on the desks of people who have very specific contractual language about reputational risk. Now Mendoza, for his part, did exactly what his media team told him to do. He said nothing. Zero comment, zero apology. According to extensive searches across every news archive, every official Raiders source, and every social media platform, the kid never publicly addressed the comment. He skipped the live draft to be with his family in Miami, citing his mother's MS, a legitimate reason that also happened to keep him out of the Pittsburgh media circus during the height of the controversy. He let the story breathe. He let the news cycle move on. And for a minute there, it looked like the strategy was working, because by the time draft night rolled around on April 23rd, the conversation had largely moved on. The headlines were about Mark Davis pulling the trigger, about Tom Brady's office-themed Instagram welcome, about the family celebration in Miami. The screenshot was old news. The controversy seemed to have died on the vine. But here's what nobody in Mendoza's camp accounted for. Once the kid actually became the face of the franchise, once his number 15 jersey started showing up on Allegiant Stadium banners, once his name started appearing in every Raiders marketing campaign from billboards on the Vegas Strip to suite holder welcome packages, the comment came back. Because corporate sponsors don't forget. Brand managers don't forget. The machinery that churns through reputational risk assessments doesn't forget. And once Mendoza was officially the most visible employee in the silver and black, the Pop Crave screenshot from April 8th suddenly stopped being a draft cycle distraction and started being a permanent line item in every corporate brand alignment review. The kid kept doing what he was supposed to do. He showed up to the introductory press conference and spoke about earning leadership rather than being given it. He showed up to rookie minicamp and grinded through under center snaps. He never said the words George Floyd. He never said the words LeBron James.
And it's a great privilege. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. Responsibility, like Coach Kubiak says, of being a Raider in this off week.
That was the kid's strategy in a nutshell. Move forward, don't look back. But the screenshot was already doing its work in the background. Football Crave's viral X post had carried over 1.9 million views deep into early May. A separate X post from May 2nd used the framing exposed, the kind of word that sponsors absolutely hate to see attached to a player they've invested marketing dollars in. Reaction roundups from at Power Columbus and at Doc Anderson kept the conversation alive. Once that conversation crossed from draft cycle noise into post-draft permanent record, the corporate machinery finally engaged. The brand alignment reviews started. The internal damage assessment started. The polite emails to the Raiders front office, the ones with phrases like, "Would love to discuss our shared positioning going forward," those started too. That's the comment that lit the fuse. That's the spark that allegedly walked Fernando Mendoza right onto the chopping block before he had ever taken a regulation NFL snap. The sponsor, money, and the boardroom domino effect. Let me put you up on game about something the casual NFL fan don't really understand. The Las Vegas Raiders aren't just a football team. They're a sponsorship machine wrapped in shoulder pads. Allegiant Stadium is named after Allegiant Air, and that's just the headline. Underneath that naming rights deal is a whole web of corporate partnerships that make Wall Street look like a lemonade stand. Ford dealers recently became the official automotive partner. Coors Light pours the official suds. MGM, Caesars, US Bank, all got their fingers in that silver and black pie. And every single one of them has a contract with language about brand association, about reputational risk, about what happens when the face of the franchise becomes a screenshot on Pop Crave. Now let's talk about Mendoza's own deals. Pre-draft, the kid had already inked a partnership with US Bank as their chief financial playmaker for a player financial literacy program called Financial Edge, the kind of feel-good corporate initiative that gets featured on morning shows. But feel-good corporate initiatives only work when the face of the program ain't trending on X for the wrong reasons. The moment Pop Crave's screenshot started circulating, US Bank's PR team was running internal damage assessments. The moment Football Crave amplified the clip into another 1.9 million views, those internal assessments allegedly turned into red flag emails. And see, this is where I got to be honest with y'all. The standard playbook in the NFL is that sponsors influence marketing, not roster decisions. That's the conventional wisdom, and for the most part, it holds up. But Las Vegas ain't conventional. Las Vegas is a market where the entire economic ecosystem of the franchise is wrapped up in sweet sales, in luxury box renewals, in corporate hospitality packages. When the Allegiant Stadium founding partners write checks with that many zeros on them, they don't always have to make demands explicitly. Sometimes, a quiet phone call from a CFO to a team president is enough. And here's where the Mendoza situation gets uniquely treacherous, because the kid wasn't just any face of the franchise. He was supposed to be the first quarterback the Raiders took at number 1 since Jamarcus Russell in 2007. The marketing department had already been spinning up campaigns. T-shirt mock-ups had been done. Social media graphics had been queued. And then the Pop Crave screenshot crossed the threshold from draft noise to permanent reputational baggage. Suddenly, all those marketing assets had to be reviewed for brand alignment. That's the corporate euphemism, brand alignment. Once that review process starts, things move quickly, because every corporate partner with a contract clause about reputational risk has to be consulted. And in a city like Vegas, where the sponsorship pyramid is so tall, it scrapes the clouds, getting unanimous comfort from every partner is basically impossible. All it takes is 1 or 2 big partners to express concerns, and suddenly, the front office is having uncomfortable conversations. Mark Davis didn't move this franchise from Oakland to Las Vegas because he wanted to. He moved it because the Vegas market promised infrastructure, sponsorship dollars, and brand growth that Oakland could never match. The billion-dollar Allegiant Stadium project was built on the backs of corporate partnerships, and when you sign deals that big, you don't just owe your sponsors a quarterback, you owe them a quarterback who's marketable in 50 states, a quarterback who Hispanic communities can rally around, a quarterback whom the corporate booking agents at MGM can put in a casino commercial without anybody on either coast losing their minds. Mendoza, on paper, was supposed to be that guy. Cuban-American background, grandparents who fled the Cuban Revolution in 1960, outspokenly Catholic, idolized Tom Brady. He paid for his own bachelor's in business administration from UC Berkeley's Haas School of Business in 3 years. He spoke Spanish during his Heisman acceptance. He had partnered with the National MS Society to launch the Mendoza Family Fund. The kid was a marketing department's dream, but marketability is fragile. And when that screenshot started circulating, when the Pop Crave reach hit 10 million impressions, the snowflakes started melting. Suddenly, the brand managers had to ask uncomfortable questions. Is this kid gonna be a problem when George Floyd anniversaries come around every May? Is this kid gonna get our brand dragged into a culture war we never wanted to be part of? Then came the additional layer that nobody in Henderson saw coming. On May 2nd, while the Pop Crave conversation was still simmering, Mendoza was at a rookie minicamp press conference when a reporter asked him about Indiana's upcoming White House visit. Watch how it played out.
I believe May 11th is the first day of OTAs. If I'm not mistaken, I have the calendar. However, I don't have the calendar.
That fumble for a calendar that didn't exist set the tone, and the kid wasn't done.
If it is on the first day of OTAs, like I said, I'm on the bottom of the totem pole here. I gotta prove myself.
Bottom of the totem pole. Pro Football Talk grabbed the clip and dropped it on X, where it racked up 775,000 views almost overnight. He kept going.
I can't miss practice. I don't know anything official. I don't have the calendar. But I just wouldn't, as a rookie, I don't think that's a good look.
Wouldn't be a good look. Now those words landed differently when you stack them on top of a resurfaced George Floyd comment. The factual error didn't help. Raiders OTAs don't actually start May 11th, they start May 18th, which meant the bottom of the totem pole answer wasn't really about practice at all. And then there's Tom Brady, the minority owner, the 7-time Super Bowl champion, the guy Mendoza idolized growing up, the guy who, during the kid's official 30 visit, allegedly had a meeting so intense that Mendoza walked out muttering, "I messed that up," before being consoled by Raider staff. When the Mendoza situation started spiraling, Brady allegedly had thoughts. Brady allegedly had concerns. Brady allegedly had opinions about whether the kid he had personally welcomed via an office-themed Instagram story was actually the right face to bet the next decade of the franchise on. The corporate temperature has gone up, and Raider Nation is starting to wonder, out loud, on every podcast, in every barbershop conversation from Henderson to Reno, whether the franchise that promised them a savior is about to deliver them another disaster. Reading the tea leaves. Let me bring this whole thing home with some real talk. So let me lay out the facts as they actually exist on the ground, May 5th, 2026, and let you make up your own mind about what's really going on with Fernando Mendoza and the Las Vegas Raiders. Fact number 1, the kid is still on the roster. As of the most recent reporting in the official Raiders player page, Fernando Gabriel Mendoza Fee is the starting quarterback in waiting for the Las Vegas Raiders. He just wrapped rookie minicamp this past weekend. He took the majority of his reps under center, a massive adjustment from his shotgun-heavy days at Cal and Indiana. He organized hotel walkthroughs with his offensive linemen. He kept saying over and over that he's the bottom of the totem pole and got to prove himself.
Making sure you're working out every single day. Having your decisions focused on becoming the best player you can be.
That ain't the language of a man on the chopping block. That's the language of a man who's locked in. And that brings us to fact number 2. The corporate world, despite all the noise, hasn't actually pulled any triggers. The US Bank partnership is still active. Allegiant, Ford, Coors Light, MGM, Caesars, all the big sponsorship dominoes are still standing upright. There's been no public statement from any major Raiders partner expressing concerns about Mendoza. There's been no ESPN bombshell, no Adam Schefter alert, no Ian Rappaport breaking news tweet, the kind of seismic event that releasing a number 1 overall pick 12 days after the draft would represent leaves, fingerprints all over the news cycle. And those fingerprints simply do not exist. Fact number 3, the Raiders front office has too much skin in the game to make a move this drastic. Spytek, Kubiak, Davis, Brady, these men spent 11 months evaluating Mendoza. They watched him in 11 live game exposures. They put him through one of the most thorough vetting processes any quarterback has gone through in the modern draft era. The idea that all of that work would be undone by a deleted Instagram comment from when the kid was 16 years old simply doesn't survive contact with reality. The Yahoo Sports breakdown of the comment fallout noted this directly. Raiders brass and NFL scouts viewed the comment as irrelevant to his character or football readiness. Fact number 4, Mendoza's silence on the matter has actually been working in his favor. By refusing to engage, by refusing to issue a statement, by refusing to apologize or contextualize, he denied the controversy the oxygen it needed to keep burning. The screenshot trended, the screenshot faded, the screenshot came back briefly when his White House comments hit on May 2nd, and then the screenshot started fading again. The only way the Mendoza screenshot stays alive in the corporate consciousness is if the kid himself adds new fuel to the fire, and so far, he hasn't. Fact number 5, and this is the one Raider Nation needs to hear. The underlying tensions are real, but the catastrophic ending is not. The George Floyd Instagram comment did resurface. Pop Crave did post the screenshot. The post did rack up over 10 million impressions. The White House press conference clip did go viral. The kid did make a factual error about the OTA start date. And the conversation about whether Mendoza is too polarizing for a corporate saturated market like Las Vegas is a legitimate conversation that NFL analysts will be having for years to come. But here's where I got to come clean with you, Raider Nation. The story you came here for, the story about Mendoza being released after a sponsor ultimatum, that release didn't happen. There was no cut. There was no roster move. The franchise that just spent the number 1 overall pick on this kid did not blow it all up 12 days later because of a viral screenshot. What is real? The pressure is real. The scrutiny is real. The conversation about marketability and politics in the modern NFL is real. The fact that Mendoza is going to have to be more careful with his words at press conferences going forward, that's real. The fact that brand managers in Las Vegas are watching every move this kid makes, that's real. But a release, a roster move, a public divorce, divorced 12 days after the wedding? Nah, that part you can take to the bank and deposit. The actual story here is more interesting anyway, because what we're really watching is the emergence of a new kind of NFL pressure cooker, a market where corporate sponsorship dollars create gravitational forces around player behavior, a media environment where every old social media post is one screenshot away from going viral. Mendoza, with his Catholic faith, his Cuban-American heritage, his Heisman Trophy, his Indiana National Championship, and his #1 overall pick status, is walking into all of that with a target on his back the size of Allegiant Stadium itself. Will he survive it? My gut says yes. The kid has shown a remarkable ability to compartmentalize. He didn't engage with the George Floyd comment when it resurfaced. He stayed laser focused on football. He's been described by teammates as a guy's guy, funny, high character. Those are the qualities that survive corporate pressure. But will it be a smooth ride? Absolutely not. Vegas is gonna squeeze this kid. The sponsors are gonna watch. The press is gonna circle. Every comment, every clip, every post is gonna be scrutinized. And one day, somewhere down the line, there might really be a moment where the corporate pressure becomes something more than just internal phone calls. But that day ain't today. That day wasn't yesterday. And the report you came here looking for has not actually materialized in the official record. So Raider Nation, take a deep breath. Your #1 overall pick is still your #1 overall pick. The Cuban-American kid from Miami is still in Henderson, still studying Kubiak's playbook, still talking about the Raider logo on his chest with reverence. The $54 million contract is still on the books. The Mendoza Family Fund is still raising money for MS research. The dream is still alive. The Pop Crave screenshot, that's gonna live forever. That's the price of being the #1 overall pick in the social media age. The corporate boardroom drama, that's coming, but the catastrophic ending, that hasn't happened. And until Adam Schefter says otherwise, you can keep wearing that number 15 jersey with confidence. The Mendoza era hasn't ended 12 days in. It's barely just begun.